So welcome back to my channel. This is Dom and a continuation of my Infamy Germans. I've got an Infamy progress. So oh, it's not sitting properly in there, that's a bit. So these are my noble warriors for my Germanic army, and I'm quite pleased with how these have turned out. I followed pretty much the same process as I showed with the basic warriors. I've just used slightly brighter colours, or more colour should we say, rather than just browns, and I've also tried to put some patterns and checks and stripes and things on the figures. You'll also notice hopefully that I've also done a few tattoos on them, and I struggled a little bit to know exactly what to do with the tattoos because I couldn't find much information on what the Germans of this period probably would have had. So in the end I sort of fell back on just sort of squiggles and things like moon shapes and that sort of thing. A couple of runes that I managed to find of Germans, and I've just sort of dopped them on. I mean, the good thing at even at 28mm and at the scale you're going to be looking at them, you can hardly see what they are. You just have that sort of basic sense of there's a bluey shape there, but exactly what that is you don't really know. So I've stuck to blue because that seems to be the most appropriate. It might be a smidge too light, but at least it stands out on the figure background, which is what I wanted. I'm quite pleased with how these fellas have turned out. So they're ready to join the warband. As I mentioned in one of the earlier video, I've primarily used sword troops for exclusively for my nobles, the better skilled warriors, because swords would have been a luxury item, an heirloom passed down from family to family. So the normal plods, the normal mob of warriors would only really have clubs and short swords and spears and javelins and that sort of thing. So all the swordsmen are in this unit. Is basically, there might be just one or two in the other one, but basically they're all in this unit. I've also tried to use the shield transfers from Little Bighorn, just the brighter ones. I mean, there's some quite browny coloured ones and earthy coloured ones, which I've reserved for the normal warriors, and then the brighter ones here, the blues, the reds. There's a yellow one there I've used on these fellas, and then again used washes just to tone them down, and then dry brush them to tone them into the figure itself, which I think works. Mainly these are Victrix figures. Most of these guys. There's a couple here. These four in the middle here are the Crusader ones that I showed in the box of goodies that I had prepared for this army. They were the I think they were called Warriors and Champions. So they've joined the elite unit. So, and I think they fit in quite well, the four of them. The others are, say, from the Victrix pack, just with the swords put on. So there you go, that's that unit done. So now I've got 2 units of regular warriors, 1 unit of Batavarian guys, these finished, and I've got some leaders to show you. So let's have a look at them. And here we go. Here's the warlords, the leaders. Well, 3 of them anyway. I'm going to have some more. These are the 3 figures from the warlords resin German named leader pack that they issued, and they're really nice figures. And I thought, well, I'll have them for even though they're designed for a rule system I don't like. I thought, well, they'll make really nice additions to my Germanic army. So I've got them on the Sabotage 3D bases, leader bases. You can see marked with 1 and 2 and 3, so I know which ones they are. In fact, the warriors you just saw were also on one of those Sabotage 3D bases that I showed before. Yeah, so again, just the same principle really. Tried to use slightly brighter colours on the whole. Lots of stripes on the trousers, bright, well, this guy's the only one with a shield, but I've given him a fairly bright transfer, just cut it down to fit. Polka dots on the back of this guy's cloak. This one's got the kind of wolfy skin, and then I've added in some of the tats on this guy's face. I thought it just adds a bit to his broodiness, and this guy looks much more berserkery type, so I've got them all over his body, and I'm quite pleased with the effect. I think actually these work out really nicely, and they're ready to lead the Germanic tribe to glory. I will need a couple more leaders, so I've got another few in the box, I think, and they should be coming. Actually, no, I've got some ordered from Warlords. I ordered just another one of their packs, because I thought it might give me some extra additions and variations in the forces. So hopefully they should be arriving fairly soon, and from that I'll either take out of my remaining Victrix some suitable figures to make them sort of secondary officers, or I'll use these figures that are coming from Warlords and instead, but we'll see, one way or another. So that is that done. 3 officers, 3 leaders, ready to raise the tribes against the Roman invaders. All right, so next up with the Germans, I'm going to be working on some of the support options, just to switch it up. And I think, you know, my tip for people, I watched a stream the other night from Chilling Wargamers, and they were talking about hobby burnout and how to avoid it. My main ways is to keep variety in what I'm doing, not only different periods and different troops and everything else, but even within a project, when you're working through a project, keep changing it up. So if you keep doing the same old thing, if I keep producing warriors, which I need to do, you can get a little bit bored. So what I try and do is do like I've done before. I've done 20 of the standard warriors, I've done 10 of the Romanized ones, and then I've done 10 of the elite warriors, then I've done some of the heroes, then I've done some more warriors, and then I'm going to do now some of the support options. And that's the way I'm doing it, just to keep myself motivated and not get that burnout. So I've got 6 cavalry here. These are all Foundry figures that you saw in the box of Doom, and jolly nice they are too. I do like Foundry figures. They're a bit chunky, a bit almost cartoony, but they paint up really nicely. I'm still not sure about this guy's very short sword. I mean, he looks like he's supposed to be a Roman, you know, he's got Roman equipment on, or yeah, Roman general's equipment on, so yeah, maybe that's why it's supposed to be a Roman short sword, but I'm not entirely sure. It's also not got any point on it. Oh well, I don't know, I might still drill that one out and replace it with a proper sword, but the rest of them are nice, really nice figures. So that's going to be my Roman cavalry. I've also, and I'll put the extra leader with them, because obviously he's mounted. Although look at the size difference. The size, not exactly. Yeah, that pony that he's riding is quite a lot smaller than this one, which is a shame, really. I think man for man they're probably about the same. Don't know. I might see. Anyway, they're probably not going to be. Well, I'm going to paint them up at the same time. I'll see whether I use them. Also got a unit of slingers. Again, these are Foundry figures, really nice. I like them very much. These are actually, don't tell anyone, Gallic slingers, but Gallic and Germanic for lower class, lower status troops is not going to really make any difference. So yeah, so they're the next ones to be done. So they've all been assembled, stuck down on their bases and primed, and now we need to get cracking. Alright, so these figures are largely done now. The slingers, kept them really simple. Just sort of a couple of the guys, I put some stripes on the trousers just to sort of break them up a bit, make them a little bit different. Done their eyeballs. Basic designs on the shields, because I haven't got any transfers for these ones. Yeah, so they're pretty much done. All they're going to need now is bit of washing and a bit of highlighting and a bit of varnishing, and obviously the base done. The Cavalry similarly, pretty much done. Just need to do well, what I'm going to do next with these guys is I'm going to put some tattoos on some of them. I mentioned before in one of my other videos, I'm never entirely sure exactly what tattoos they might have worn, but it was a common thing in a lot of tribes, so I think I'm going to give it a go. Yeah, I'm going to give it a go. Right, so how am I going to do it? I have here a detail brush from who's this one? Army Painter. There we go. I've got some medium blue Vallejo paint. Give it a good shake. Splodge a little bit on the paper. Let's start with this guy here. So just get a tiniest bit on the end of the brush, and I'm going to do a sort of crescent where this is showing up. I mean, the good thing is at this scale, even at this scale, it's going to be very hard to tell. Well, that didn't really come out as I hoped, so let's adapt that a bit. Yeah, it'd be very difficult to tell at this scale exactly what you've drawn, because yes, I did do some research into, or tried to do some research into what sort of things they might have had on them, but I haven't managed to find an awful lot. Let's do some moons, if I can manage to do it sensibly enough. And on down here. There you go. It doesn't have to be much. It just needs to, just something, just so it catch your eye. I think, oh, he's got something there. Well, this guy might just do a band around the top of his arm there, like you see some sort of strong guys do now. People with muscles. Maybe some little dots. There we go. Yeah, that'll do. And alright, so they're pretty much done. Some of them are kept really simple. This guy's just got a band around his arm. This guy I've gone a bit more adventurous. He's got stripes down his face and some on his arm. Just try to put a bit of variety into these figures. So this guy's got some marks on his forehead and on his arms, and just sort of made them look kind of how I want them to look at the end. Next up, I need to just do a little bit of work on the horses themselves. So I've got a bit of brain matter beige. Put a little splodge of that. There we go, on my paper. And I'm just going to use it to, it's a fairly old brush, it's got a bit of a hook on it. I'm just going to use it to mark out, you know, the sort of marks or sort of patterns horses have on the front, on their front of their faces. Now this one's got a strap that hangs down the front, so I can't push it too close to the edge. But most horses have some kind of facial markings. we're just going to use this to do that. So back in a bit. Right, that's the horses done. So you can see they're pretty much finished. Oh, I forgot to mention this guy who's got the sort of Romanesque cuirass on. I've just used Balthazar gold from Citadel, which is this sort of very bronzy gold, because I find that once I put a wash on this and varnished it, it deadens it down to a really nice coppery sort of I don't know, not too bright a colour, which I wanted. So I'll show you what that looks like in a minute or two. So first up, while they're all finishing off drying, they shouldn't take long, I'm going to put a wash on the slingers. So we've got a strong tone wash from Army Painter. Give it a good shake. Pour it into a little pot. Doesn't matter what kind of brush, this is an old kiddie brush. And get plenty on and just draw it down the figure. Again, mentioned before, if you can follow all in one direction, so much the better, and try not to let it pull too much. It's pulling a bit in his face there, so pull a bit of that off. I wasn't sure, I think these slings are a little bit yellow. We'll see. I was trying to go for a sort of linen effect. Actually, even this brush is rubbish. That's better. A bit more of a... Even a cheap brush like that is too cheap. Yeah, so I was trying to get a sort of linen-y effect. I'm hoping that with the wash it'll deaden it down a bit, as it looks a bit too yellowy for what I was looking for, but we'll see. The shield bosses I did my normal way that I do with all my weaponry now. Basilicum grey as a base, and then over the top of that silver. This is I'm using Army Painter Shining Silver, not completely over the top, just sort of very, I keep calling it a heavy dry brush, and it just, to me, it just gives that sort of two-tone effect that I like, and then when you put a wash on it, it makes it even better. So there we go. Yeah, we'll see about whether these slings need a repaint, because I'm not sure. So yeah, there's one down. We'll finish the rest, be back in a minute. So there we are, the support options are pretty much done. Well, these ones anyway. There's the slingers, basically been varnished, dry brushed with Iraqi sand, and the base is made up with some tufts. And on these 3D movement trays, sabots from Sabot 3D. I'm quite pleased with these, they've come out. I thought at first maybe those slings might be too bright, but I think they've come out alright actually. I think they're alright. They've dulled down a bit with the varnish. It always happens when you put a bit of wash on there, put a bit of varnish on there, and then you dry brush it at the end, the colours die down a bit. And yeah, they're pretty good. So those are the Foundry slingers, ready to join the victorious Germanic tribe. And also the Cavalry are done. So actually really pleased with these guys. They came out beautifully. Foundry figures, they always look a bit cartoony, chunky, but they paint up nicely. And you know, at the end of the day, that's kind of all that matters, right? Really like this unit, really pleased with how this has come out. Got a few tats on some of the guys. You can see the blue sort of woady colour I used, which you will have seen me use for the on some of the previous warriors, elite warriors. I've done the same with the cavalry here, just not too much, just a few sort of, you know, things like symbols on the arms and chest and the back, that sort of thing, a couple of marks on the face, that sort of thing. Also this character from Warlords, he's small compared to these six, isn't he? Which is a bit of a shame, really. Yeah, bit small. I might have to get another hero longer term, unless we just call him, you know, Gunther the Small or something. Small man with a big axe. I don't know, but quite pleased, really quite pleased to get all this lot done. I think the effect is pretty good. So there you go, progress continues apace, as well as the cavalry and the slingers you've just seen me do. Also another unit of warriors completed, so that gives me 30 of them, plus the 10 elites and the 8 Romanized auxilii or federati or whatever they're called, all finished. I'm just getting towards the end of a unit of 6 berserkers. Then I'll probably might start doing some of the ambush points and deployment points. I think it's almost got to the point of doing those, and I think I've got one more unit of warriors, plus some odds and sods. If I can pick up a couple of extra figures on eBay, I might just make up another block of maybe some more elites. That would be good, just to use up the odds and sods I've got left and to make up an extra unit. And I've got the Woodland Archers, and then well, I did have the Federati Cavalry, but they're from First Corps, much like the Auxiliary Infantry, which I really didn't like, so I might not bother with those. I'll see. They look better than the infantry, but I'll just make them up and have a look at them once I've varnished. Once I've primed them, it might be worth having a look at whether they come out well painted. Just I don't want them to look naff compared to the rest of the army. So really pleased with this project. It's come together really well. I'm painting lots of sort of dark colours and what have you. It's a quick job to get it all done, and so this army should be ready. I mean, I might even get a game next week. That's what I'm hoping. If we can swing it, if the weather looks good and we can get an outdoor game going, these might actually see the table, and that'll be really exciting. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video and this look at how I've done the cavalry and the slingers for my Germanic Infamy army. Of course, the same techniques and same ways of doing the figures can be used for any period of ancients, but I like the dirty, dusty affair, and I think once they're on, turntable's stuttering a bit. I think it's because I've got metal figures on one side, plastics on the other. Anyway, I like the techniques involved. I think it works well. I like the effect of the army. So, and then my figures, so you know, it is what it is. Anyway, hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe. I hope some sort of normality is coming back into your lives, and maybe you might even be getting some gaming in, like what I am, and it's really nice to do. This is Dom signing out.